Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. Today, we're diving into Arista Networks, the leader in high-speed data center switching. And a core question we're tackling is pretty simple. Is this networking leader a good time to buy right now? Or has the market already priced in all that impressive growth? We've done the homework for you, sifted through financial reports, technical charts, market chatter, just to pull out the critical info and, well, save you some time. Before we jump in, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment. And hey, if there's a specific company you want us to look into next time, definitely leave a comment below. Okay, so Arista Networks, they've been an absolute execution machine, haven't they? Especially looking at the recent Q2 2025 results, they just seem to consistently outperform. Let's start with that growth. Where did they really shine?
Well, the foundation looks incredibly strong after Q2.
Yeah,
revenue hit $2.205 billion. But what's really impressive, I think, is the momentum behind that number.
Yeah.
We're talking a 30.4% jump year over year. And even sequentially, they grew 10% from Q1 2025. That kind of acceleration in networking hardware, especially at their scale, is pretty rare.
it is. And it's the profit side, too, that really caught my eye in the reports. I mean, they're growing revenue fast and boosting margins at the same time. Specifically, that JAP gross margin hitting 65.2%. Why is that number, 65.2%, such a huge deal for investors? What does it really tell us?
Right, it's more than just a profit number. You could almost call it a competitive moat indicator. When you see industry-leading margins like that in hardware, it signals that the company is just, generating a ton of cash. And that high margin, it basically gives them this massive financial war chest for R&D. In this hyper-competitive tech world, that cash generation is key. It means they can maintain their tech edge in high-speed switching against, giants like Cisco. Plus, it gives them flexibility. If you connect this to the bigger picture, Arista runs on a historically low debt profile. So high margins plus low debt means they can navigate those IT spending downturns, the cyclical ones, much better than their peers. Or they could aggressively chase strategic acquisitions if the right opportunity comes along.
Okay, that makes sense. That helps explain the premium valuation if they've got that kind of financial firepower. But if the growth is so strong and the margins are that high, why hasn't a major competitor just, undercut them or simply copied their tech? What's their actual competitive edge here?
Well, it really comes down to specialization and, importantly, their software. Arista made a clear choice to dominate a very specific, highly demanding niche, high-speed data center switching. They aren't trying to be everything to everyone, and their proprietary EOS software is absolutely key. It's known for just unparalleled reliability and its ability to scale up effortlessly. That's exactly what the biggest cloud companies need. They're now strategically embedded in three major areas: enterprise campus networks, AI-driven networking, and most critically, the hyperscale cloud. Essentially, they provide the essential plumbing required to run modern AI workloads. And that makes their hardware really, really difficult to just rip out and replace.
Hyperscale cloud.
Yeah.
And just for everyone listening, we're talking about those massive cloud providers, your AWS, Azure, Google Cloud types of ones really driving all the capital spending in the sector. Now, this deep integration sounds great, but it definitely brings up that key risk you often hear about, customer concentration. How worried should we actually be that they're so dependent on just, 2 or 3 huge clients?
Yeah, that's the number one risk they cite in their own regulatory filings, and we absolutely have to acknowledge it. A very large chunk of their revenue comes from just a handful of top cloud clients. You could think of it like, they're the best caterer in town, but maybe only Amazon and Microsoft are allowed to book them. It's a fantastic business model in many ways, but yeah, it introduces a pretty scary dependency. If just one of those giants suddenly changes their spending plans, maybe holds back on capital expenditure, or decides to switch suppliers for even one massive project, the volatility in the stock price would likely be immediate and quite severe. That's the necessary counterpoint, the other side of the coin, the high margin and growth story we're seeing right now.
Right, that's a crucial balancing act for investors to keep watching. Management, though, sounds very confident they'll keep capturing future spending. They specifically talk about strong positioning in, quote, data-driven AI networking from client to cloud. Sounds like they're doubling down right where the highest growth is.
They absolutely are. Their entire product roadmap seems geared towards the really demanding bandwidth and scale needed for building out AI infrastructure. They're almost perfectly situated, you could argue, to be a key beneficiary of that whole secular trend, provided, of course, their hyperscale customers keep investing at pace.
Okay, let's pivot a bit then. From the foundational numbers to the stock itself, the stock's been consolidating near record highs, which kind of suggests investors are already expecting perfection, right? What are the technical signals telling us currently?
Right now, the technical picture is mostly one of stable consolidation. The price has been trading in a relatively tight band, roughly between $108 and $115 per share over the past month or so. This does imply that those high expectations are pretty much fully baked into the current price. So investors really need to watch that critical support area, let's say between $105 and $100K. If the stock were to break significantly below $105, well, that could signal a potential shift in the short-term momentum. It would definitely warrant a closer look at the market narrative around the stock. And while the 50-day moving average is hovering near $112, the momentum indicators like the RSI, which is currently neutral around 57, and the bullish MACD crossover we saw back in early August, they do support the view that the stock is more resting than declining right now.
Stability is good, yeah. But when a stock trades at a premium valuation near its highs, any sign of insider selling can sometimes spook investors. We've seen some reports of high-dollar sales by executives recently. Is this a red flag we should be worried about?
That's a really important question, especially for anyone looking at the stock right now. And yes, there have been sales. We saw the CTO, Kenneth Duda, selling about 30,000 shares, and CEO Jayshree Ulal had a planned sale of a smaller amount, around 8,700 shares. But here's the critical distinction, and it's really important. The vast majority of these sales are executed under preset 10b5-1 plans. What that means is they file the paperwork months in advance to sell shares systematically, often on a schedule. It's generally viewed as automatic portfolio management or diversification. It's not usually seen as a, fire sale driven by some bad news they know about. Especially when you consider the context, their enormous remaining insider ownership stakes. These kinds of systematic sales are generally seen as pretty standard wealth management, not necessarily a warning sign.
Okay, that context definitely helps take away a potential emotional risk factor there. Good. So now let's look forward. What are the key upcoming events or catalysts that might actually push the stock out of this current consolidation range? What should we be watching?
Well, investor expectations were sort of reset recently, following their analyst day back on September 11th. The market is now kind of waiting for more tangible details and maybe updated long-term guidance, specifically around their next-gen AI strategies. Any clarity there often triggers analysts to revise their estimates, which can move the stock. But the single biggest, most critical event coming up is definitely the Q3 2025 earnings report. That's scheduled for early November. And look, Arista has this incredible track record of beating estimates. I think it's 10 consecutive quarters now.
10 quarters, yeah.
Right. So investors will be absolutely laser focused, not just on the headline numbers, the revenue and EPS, but critically on the forward guidance. They need visibility into the capital expenditure plans of those key hyperscaler clients. That's what keeps the bullish narrative alive.
Okay, so beyond just the next quarter, thinking more about the long game here, what are the real long-term forces driving this stock? And what's maybe the big speculative upside people talk about?
The long-term engine, fundamentally, is that continued relentless secular growth from AI infrastructure build-out and, of course, hyperscale cloud demand. Arista is positioned as a key technological enabler for that future. I think that's pretty non-negotiable for their long-term value proposition. Now, for shorter-term speculation, there are these persistent rumors you hear about a potential AI customer mega deal win, some massive multi-year contract that hasn't been fully announced yet, which could materially lift guidance if it happens. There's also some market chatter, maybe a bit more speculative, regarding potential strategic M&A, perhaps Arista looking to acquire companies in optical networking, or maybe silicon photonics to vertically integrate their high-speed connectivity offerings. A major strategic move like that would definitely be a significant catalyst. But, and we have to acknowledge the flip side one last time, despite all these growth drivers, the stock remains highly sensitive to the broader macro environment. If enterprise or cloud capital spending contracts unexpectedly, maybe due to recession fears, or if a major competitor suddenly makes significant inroads, well, Arista will feel that pressure, technology lead or not.
Which brings us right back to our original question. Based on everything we've discussed, is Arista Networks a good time to buy now? Looking at the, excellent fundamentals, the current stability in the technicals, and those huge secular tailwinds. What's the final thesis for our listener?
Yeah, so weighing it all up, we'd land on about an 8 out of 10 overall rating for Arista Networks right now. The fundamentals are genuinely superb. You've got rapid growth, strong earnings, those really robust margins we talked about. And the technical consolidation suggests stability, not weakness. So our conclusion is that this stock is probably best suited for long-term investment. The valuation isn't exactly cheap, no doubt about it. It reflects its premium execution and market position. But if you truly believe in the multi-year growth story of AI and cloud infrastructure, then Arista looks like a high-quality core holding, even if the immediate near-term upside might be somewhat capped by the current high expectations and that consolidation pattern.
Yeah. Quality company at, well, a quality price, as they say. Okay, but here's something to chew on them. Given that track record, 10 consecutive quarters of beating estimates and the really high investor expectations that seem baked in now, what if, just what if, Q3 earnings don't surprise to the upside? What kind of immediate impact might that have? Could we see it quickly push the stock down through this consolidation phase and maybe challenge that key support level we identified down around $105? That's a question for you to mull over as you think about how you might want to be positioned heading into November. Thank you for joining us for this look into Arista Networks. We'll see you next time on Investing Talk Podcast.